Hello, today we'll discuss how to get additional data to your read model, which is built by some kind of projection. Hi, Tomek.
Hi, Łukasz. Yep, exactly. Let's say, we wanted to show you a bit like more complex scenario, maybe more like real case scenario, because it's not often when we just have like single read model and we have the all data in the events. Sometimes we have some kind of projection where we are reacting for some events, but then we have to somehow get the data from different read models, right? Because our read model is like rich read model, let's say, right?
And I think it's worth mentioning that it doesn't always have to be a read model, because sometimes you might be in the transition state, right? So you're just started to introduce some events into your system. You built a read model to help with these most critical performance issues, because we know that read models are much faster, right? If you do them properly. And then you need something additional. You need to enrich that read model. For example, if we're talking about the task domain, we may want to get some project name and just have the access, right? Have the access to it, have it close to the task so we can display it in the one view without additional joins. So, and the project may still be a CRUD, right? That's why I'm saying it's maybe the transitional state. So there's so much scenarios, but we just want to show you, if you ever ask yourself this question, how to do this, the response is here. I mean, the answer is here.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see here, like we have this task view model builder. That's our projection, right? And we are like subscribed for different events for this projection. And till now we were like building just the task view model. And it's let's say we want to add the name of the project also to task view model. So what we have to do, we do the query in the projection to the place where we have the name of the project, right? Usually it will be like in the event-driven projects, let's say, we will have another read model where we have this name, but like Łukasz said, it doesn't have to be the read model, right? It can be like just this data source of where we keep the name of the project, right? We
just a CRUD table.
Exactly. We might have the CRUD table with projects here. So we query it from the projection when we build the task view model, and we insert or update the task view model. That sounds easy, right?
Yeah.
We've also heard about some, let's say, more complex scenarios where we do it when we somehow, let's say, have a handler for event, and we enrich the event, and we push another event to the dedicated event stream for the specific read models, but we were not implementing it this way yet. What we do, usually we do this solution here, right?
Yeah, we often, I mean, not that often, but I used to make specific streams for the read models. So that would be one additional step into which we would enrich the events somehow and then append them to this specific stream. I actually link the events to enrich the events to a specific stream for a read model. But that's more complex. Let's call it a step 2. Step 1 would be to learn where or how to actually get this additional data. One way, if you have the access to the database, you can query that table, which could be a read model, but it could be also the CRUD table with the projects in this case. So would we like to see how to do this in the code, more or less, where we should place this?
Yeah, because that's I mean, that's often a question that can rise, right? That when we should get this additional data, right? And in our let's say experience, we do it in the projection from the projections, right? So basically here we think like in this specific case we don't have like project events yet here and so on. We don't have even we have even projects table.
Project is CRUD. Project is just CRUD, so there's no events, so we will have to get it. Yeah.
So probably we will do it somewhere here, right? When we create the
Yeah.
task, we would like to have the name of the project. So after this here, we would have something like task view model, right? Project name, and we would like no Copilot. That's not a
Liar.
liar. Yeah, we would have something like I don't recall. But do we have project here? Yeah, we have,
there's
right?
project.
And we would.
Yeah, I would probably need something like this in our events as well, which is not the case right now, but
something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. If the task belongs to project, there might be different ways, right? We may have a mapping table, we may have different root model for that. It all you can implement it in many various ways, but the point is that you can just simply query another table from here to build your root model properly. However, in this case, we are using async read model. So if you are thinking about querying the database, the same database, that may not be an issue at all. But if we think about external services, right? So maybe there is another microservice or just a service that you need to query. Maybe that's just the external SaaS application that provides some kind of data, or maybe you need to enrich something with the LLM, for example, our beloved LLMs. Then you need to take care and think twice, ask yourself a question: if what happens if I fail and I have to retry, right? Exactly, because maybe then you will get additional costs. Maybe you will hit the quota and you will be your request will be abandoned, right? Because if something happens, like maybe you will fail to save the task view model in this case for some reason, right? Something might just go off, and then you retry, and then you keep sending the same request over and over again to get the same data. Maybe it's not a problem if this is some kind of service or microservice that your organization owns, because most likely they will not charge you. But if this is the external service like money exchange or anything else that counts the request, you may either pay a bigger invoice, or you may just get quota limit, and then you'll not get results for quite some time, which may also hurt your users, but it may also cause the situation in which your read model will not be able to finish, because you will be getting error. Depending on how you handle it, it may fail or not. So always keep in mind which doors you're knocking to, and when you do that, implement solution that will support your business needs, but also keep costs in mind, right? In case of external APIs for which you need to pay, maybe some caching will be acceptable. It all depends on what the information is, right?
Yeah, I think even if we are not talking like in the external services, like some really external services outside of our company, and not the microservices that we have, for example, in our project. Yeah, for sure we would need to do probably some kind of retries here when we call those external services. But if we have like microservices, maybe we could think about having some kind of like just a very small piece of the data that we need here from another microservices stored somewhere in our database as well, right? So we we also subscribe to events that comes from different microservices. So we have like locally in our task, let's say, context here, we have some local store data from other microservices. So we would have also the call to the database, right? But our database in this case. But yeah, definitely if we are talking about microservices and external dependencies, we would have to think about how to do it to make this projection still performing well, right? And be, let's say, stable, right?
Yeah, and here we're talking about the async, but if you have synchronous read model builders, so whenever your application publishes an event or aggregate or whatever the event is published and something is subscribing to this event, you need to consider that if the external API is slow, database, it won't rather be slow, right? If you need just to select and you need to just get one value or a couple of values without joins, simple model, the database, it may most likely will not. Okay.
If you have if you have a lot of those sync read models, those a lot of those subscribers with a lot of projections that rebuild synchronously, let's say, that adds, right? And that adds.
Yeah, that adds up definitely, but external services may also be much slower, right? And there is this latency in the network and so on. And if the payload is large, because maybe there's just an API that is very generic and doesn't contain just this one property that you need to enrich your read model, it may take time. If you do this in synchronous read model builders, it may hurt your users in terms of the perceived performance, right? Because if you think about this, if you need to add 1 additional second to just get the data from external API and the serialization, deserialization, it will just impact the performance.
But about sync and async read models, right? We have videos somewhere there.
Yes,
right?
there is another episode which one of us will hopefully remember to link into this very second. But keep that in mind, because those decisions, it's always better to just stop for a moment, think about this, ask yourself a couple of questions, specifically about the cost. Like nowadays, nobody thinks about the cost, and I think those days are already gone. It's not 2020 when the costs were unlimited and business didn't care. I think it's a little bit different now. So remember, ask yourself, how much does it cost to call this line of the code? And as I said, maybe in case of the synchronous read model, you could migrate it somewhere else and maybe get this data based on some specific event, maybe just an event that would inform your system that, hey, there is a new batch of data that could be downloaded. There's a lot of techniques that you can consider, but it's important to just not follow one pattern that you know and ask yourself a question, do some system thinking in overall, and not just to finish the task SAP, not SAP. In Polish, I would say ASAP. As fast as possible, and then happily get some dopamine boost, close the task, and continue with the other one. Okay, but I'm getting off rails. Tomek, would you add something? Or?
No.
Okay,
I
cool.
think we covered. But,
we covered what we wanted. Cool.
Even more.
So more or less, let us know in the comments what's your experience with projections. Maybe you do it differently. I'm very curious to hear. How did you solve this kind of problems if you did? And
exactly. Maybe you have some other ideas how to do it, right? Or maybe you were actually wondering some time ago where you should do it. Enrich the read model. So if you have any thoughts, just let us a comment.
Sharing is caring. See you.
See you. Bye.